Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where the wisdom of virtue is shared. We wish you an enjoyable listening experience. Today, I'll be interpreting a book called Drunk. We're going to have a serious conversation about the act of drinking. This book primarily addresses one question: every drop of alcohol is harmful to the human body, but nearly no civilization has overlooked alcohol. So why do humans love drinking so much? Over the past few thousand years, one significant problem that humanity has concentrated its intelligence and resources on solving is how to get themselves intoxicated. Archaeologists have found that alcohol was not actually a byproduct of agriculture but a motivating factor behind the invention of agriculture. Early human archaeological discoveries from around the world always include a significant number of finely crafted vessels for drinking. Even societies on the brink of starvation would set aside precious artifacts or fruits to ferment into alcohol. Many countries, such as Russia and the United States, have enacted prohibition laws to protect their grain supply. Even in jurisdictions where alcohol was prohibited by law, many people risked their lives attempting to get themselves drunk using perfume or cleaning products. At Oxford University's nightly discussions, the opening declaration is in Latin, translated to Chinese as, "Now it's time to drink." During the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, a great debate emerged in the United States when the government imposed lockdowns. The topic was, what are the essential services that cannot be closed? The answers were diverse. Some states declared golf courses essential, while others insisted that gun stores should stay open. However, almost every jurisdiction recognized, without debate, that liquor stores must remain open. Pennsylvania attempted to close liquor stores at one point, which sparked significant public outrage, leading to a quick change in policy. While humans are passionately involved in producing and consuming alcohol, they are well aware of its harmful effects. Although alcohol can provide some calories, it has little nutritional value and is made from scarce grains and fruits. Involvement with alcohol can impair cognitive and motor skills, damage the liver and brain cells, and lead to incidents like blackouts, drunk driving, and fights. If drinking is an absolute vice, why hasn't evolution eliminated it from humanity over the thousands of years since alcohol's appearance? In this book, the author's core argument is that humans love drinking not due to an evolutionary mistake but for sound evolutionary reasons. Throughout the long process of evolution, the pursuit of intoxication, excitement, and cognitive alteration has contributed to individual survival and cultural prosperity. Evolution is not foolish, and its progress is much faster than most people believe. Intoxication is not an evolutionary error or omission but a tool that has helped humans solve many challenges. The author of this book is Edward Slingerland, a renowned sinologist from Canada. He is a distinguished university scholar and a professor of philosophy at the University of British Columbia, with additional appointments in the Department of East Asian Studies and the Department of Psychology. He is also the director of the Center for Human Evolution, Cognition, and Culture and the Religious Database. His academic interests are wide-ranging, and he has translated classical Chinese texts. In this book, the author's perspective on the argument is broad, encompassing psychological, historical, and evolutionary angles, among others. While presenting his main points, the author also addresses some intriguing questions. For example, why do poets need to be drunk to create poetry, but tea won't do? Why do people exhibit peculiar behavior when intoxicated? Why do so many things get settled at the drinking table? Of course, interpreting this book today is not an encouragement to drink. Rather, it aims to provide you with a richer and more interesting perspective on why drinking has become one of humanity's unshakable hobbies and the cultural and historical significance behind it. This book may evoke memories of the joy of drinking with friends and give you reasons for a little sip. At the same time, it will also alert you to the dangers of excessive drinking and offer solutions to the problem of a negative drinking culture. I will break down this book into 3 parts. In the first part, we will answer a key question: what positive roles has drinking played in the evolution and development of humans? In the second part, we will shift our focus to the present and discuss the role of drinking in modern society. In the third part, we will delve into the negative effects of alcohol and how to drink responsibly. Now, let's formally delve into this book. Anthropologist Michael Dietler once pointed out that alcohol is the most widely consumed psychoactive substance in the world to date. There are over 2.4 billion active alcohol consumers worldwide, accounting for approximately 1/3 of the global population. We've been drinking for thousands of years. Archaeologists have discovered pottery fragments in the Yellow River region of China dating back to around 700 BC, which bear chemical traces of a kind of wine. This wine was made from wild grapes, rice, and honey, providing the earliest direct evidence of humans producing alcoholic beverages. Archaeological records from around the world depict scenes of drinking and gatherings. Even in North America, where indigenous populations didn't produce alcohol, a highly complex tobacco cultivation and regional trade system existed. Archaeological findings of pipes date back to between 3000 BC and 1000 BC. It's evident that people worldwide have been using alcohol, tobacco, and other intoxicants for a very long time. To quote an archaeologist, the pursuit of psychoactive substances is a characteristic of humanity. However, alcohol and other intoxicants are very harmful to the human body. So why do humans take these risks? There are two common scientific explanations for this question. The first explanation is that it's an evolutionary hijacking. Our brains have various reward systems that evolution uses to incentivize specific behaviors, such as the reward for sexual activity during orgasm. Some behaviors can exploit these reward systems, like pornography, which can activate the same reward system but doesn't correspond to the reproductive behavior evolution expects. Similarly, humans drinking alcohol may be exploiting a loophole by activating similar reward systems. Alcohol hijacks the brain's incentive mechanisms responsible for preferences and desires, leading us to crave more. The second explanation for human alcohol consumption is evolutionary residue. Scholars who support this explanation offer various views. For instance, biologist Robert Dudley proposed the drunken monkey hypothesis, suggesting that early humans used alcohol scent to locate ripe fruits. People sensitive to alcohol's odor could find more fruits, thus gaining more calories than others. It's worth noting that 1 gram of pure alcohol contains 7 calories, whereas 1 gram of fat contains 9 calories, and 1 gram of protein has only 4 calories. For our ancestors struggling with hunger, alcohol had significant advantages. Modern humans' continued love for alcohol is an evolutionary residue. After all, we no longer need alcohol to address calorie deficiencies, it only brings liver damage and obesity. Additionally, there's a concept that brewing alcohol is a means of storing calories. After grains and fruits ferment, the calories they contain can be transformed into a more durable, portable form. In a time without refrigeration, these resources wouldn't spoil quickly. From this perspective, the traditional role of alcohol is similar to pickling cucumbers or making sauerkraut. While these explanations may sound reasonable at first, upon closer examination, their persuasiveness is somewhat lacking. For example, people don't typically prefer overripe fruits that generate ethanol. Moreover, there are other ways to store food aside from brewing alcohol. In Ireland, for instance, they make porridge from oats, ferment it for several weeks, and it solidifies into a bread-like form. Irish people then slice and fry it for consumption. This method can preserve food without harming the body, unlike alcohol. The question of whether humans' fondness for alcohol is due to evolutionary hijacking or residue remains open in the scientific community. If brewing alcohol were genuinely an evolutionary mistake, its continued existence is because natural selection hasn't bothered to eliminate it. In fact, not only has it not been eradicated, but we have also adapted to alcohol at the genetic level. Many animals, especially those with a predominantly fruit-based diet, produce the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase, which is involved in ethanol metabolism. A small subset of primates, including humans, carries a supercharged variant of alcohol dehydrogenase, which can rapidly break down ethanol into chemicals that the body can either use or eliminate. This challenges the idea of evolutionary hijacking. When early humans began consuming alcohol and problematic plants, they had already biologically adapted to them. This suggests that alcohol and other intoxicants have long been part of evolutionary adaptation, rather than an unforeseen threat. So why do humans drink alcohol? As mentioned earlier, the author's main argument is that alcohol hasn't been eliminated by evolution but rather adapted because it helps humans address specific challenges. To explain this viewpoint, we need to look at early human challenges from an evolutionary perspective. For any species, reproduction and development require adaptation to specific ecological niches. An ecological niche refers to a species' position within a local ecosystem, whether as a predator, prey, herbivore, or carnivore. More fundamentally, it refers to a species' entire set of survival strategies. The human ecological niche is quite unique, with our primary adaptive challenges focusing on other humans rather than the physical environment. Survival primarily hinges on not brute strength or individual cleverness but social skills. While being strong and good at hunting ensures survival, those who consistently rise to the top are often team builders, negotiators, and adept manipulators. Knowing how to hunt is important, but knowing how to share food, negotiate transportation, and prevent food theft from others is even more crucial. In crowded caves, humans needed to learn cooperation when dealing with strangers. In essence, the human ecological niche necessitates creativity, close collaboration, tolerance of unfamiliar groups, and the ability to be open and trust one another. Specifically, the human ecological niche comprises three elements: creativity, culturalism, and communitarianism. What assistance can alcohol offer in adapting to this niche? Let's start with the first element, creativity. Humans are truly capable of inventing new things. We can create tools, sew clothing, build houses, and cook food. We change the world through invention and creation. Our ability to invent and create stems from our lateral thinking abilities. Lateral thinking is the process that produces eureka moments. Solutions to complex problems often emerge not through reflection or deduction but in flashes of insight or epiphanies. Compared to other primates, humans have an exceptionally long and vulnerable childhood. Children may be poor planners, but they excel at solving lateral thinking tasks, being naturally curious and imaginative. One of the characteristics of younger age groups is their cognitive flexibility. When it comes to learning new tasks, many species' young individuals tend to outperform their elders. This is related to our brain structure. The development of the brain is itself a process of constantly pruning excess neurons. When a region of the brain stabilizes and forms a streamlined, well-functioning system, it has matured. A measure of the degree of neural pruning in a brain region is the density of gray matter relative to white matter. Gray matter is the neuron-rich part of the brain, which decreases as a brain region matures. White matter is responsible for transmitting information. As gray matter decreases and white matter increases, brain efficiency and the speed of information transmission improve, but flexibility decreases. A region rich in gray matter is like an undeveloped area where I can wander unrestrictedly but with lower efficiency. In contrast, increased white matter density is akin to the continuous development of this area, creating roads and bridges. I can more easily reach my destination but can't deviate too much from the established path, missing out on serendipitous discoveries. As we grow from children into adults, the gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex of our brains gradually decreases, while white matter density increases. So, the more mature the prefrontal cortex, the less flexible our cognition. It's essential for task completion and delaying gratification but an adversary of creativity. To ignite creativity, cognitive control needs to be relaxed. Research with pianists, for example, showed that during the transition from playing a rehearsed piece to improvising, the prefrontal cortex's role diminished. Studies also indicate that adults with permanently damaged prefrontal cortexes perform better in lateral thinking tasks. This suggests that children's creativity might be due to their prefrontal cortex not having fully developed yet. Adults with mature prefrontal cortexes can still relax this region through various methods to unleash creativity. Alcohol can temporarily shut down our prefrontal cortex. Perhaps this is why some advertising agencies have a dedicated bar. Levi had to drink alcohol to write poetry, rather than tea. Let's take a closer look at the second characteristic of the human ecological niche, which is culturalism. While individual human creativity is indeed remarkable, what's even more remarkable is our ability to amplify and enhance individual creativity by inheriting and propagating knowledge through culture. Innovation is incremental, with each new idea building upon the foundation laid by our predecessors. Culture helps humans find solutions to problems. Some cultural evolution theorists have suggested that we shouldn't view the brain merely as an isolated organ on top of our heads, but as a part of a larger network, a node in a vast collective brain. Humans rely heavily on culture, which is fundamentally unique in the animal kingdom. Most animals interact with the world and learn through non-social processes, with individuals assessing and solving problems independently. However, during human evolution, from some untraceable point onward, humans became increasingly dependent on social learning. When individuals face challenges, they draw upon solutions provided by their culture. This reliance on culture makes it necessary for individuals to trust and depend on each other. Evolution has molded humans to be exceptionally open, tolerant of strangers, open to new experiences, and ready for play compared to other primates. This level of openness about others leads us to the third characteristic of the human ecological niche, communitarianism. Humans share some similarities with social insects like bees. We both depend on cooperation. However, humans are slightly different from bees in this regard. The queen bee never worries about her subjects refusing to obey, and worker bees diligently carry out their tasks. Yet, the evolutionary problem that arises for humans is that, on a deeper level, we are still inherently selfish primates who occasionally stab each other in the back. This tension has persisted in human cooperation throughout history, as seen in famous dilemmas like the prisoner's dilemma. Imagine you are a prisoner under interrogation, and the best outcome for both you and your fellow prisoner is for both of you to remain silent, not betraying each other in exchange for a reduced sentence. However, you can't guarantee that your fellow prisoner will cooperate. Given this risk, the only rational strategy is to betray and accuse your fellow prisoner. Fortunately, humans are not completely rational beings. People often choose to cooperate when faced with the prisoner's dilemma because of emotional commitments to one another. However, these commitments can also be insincere. This brings us to the saying, "In wine, there is truth." Alcohol can disrupt the control function of the prefrontal cortex, making it difficult to control one's facial expressions and speech. This is why in important social situations and business negotiations, we often conduct discussions over a drink. The handshake, originally meant to signify that one was unarmed, has evolved into an act that disarms our cognitive defenses. Henry Kissinger once said to Deng Xiaoping, "I think if you and I drink enough Mao Tai, we can solve anything." He might have been referring to this social function of alcohol. At this point, the author's argument becomes clear. In the unique ecological niche of humans, we need to maintain creativity, absorb and spread culture, build trust with others, and rely on commitments to avoid prisoners' dilemmas. To achieve this effect, we need to briefly but effectively deactivate the prefrontal cortex to allow adults to regain childlike creativity and trust. This can be achieved through meditation, ascetic practices, or extreme breathing exercises. However, compared to these methods, alcohol becomes a more convenient choice. Alcohol acts on the body in two phases. In the first phase, as blood alcohol levels rise, it promotes the release of dopamine and serotonin, reducing anxiety and making individuals feel stimulated and happy. In the second phase, as alcohol levels in the blood peak, it begins to have a calming effect, suppressing neural activity. It mainly inhibits three brain regions, the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the cerebellum. This is why intoxicated individuals lose their normal walking ability and may have memory lapses. Inhibiting the prefrontal cortex results in what's known as myopia for the future, causing sluggishness and limiting attention to the immediate moment while neglecting abstract considerations and future consequences. In essence, alcohol allows a mature adult to temporarily revert to a childlike, open, and flexible mindset that makes it easier to trust others and be trusted in return. This is why the author believes that alcohol is a key element in promoting human cooperation, cultural transmission, and innovation. Beyond its functions in the realm of alcohol, the author also presents a somewhat philosophical viewpoint that we need alcohol to transcend ourselves. It's an essential means of momentarily escaping our inhibitions. Writer Stolt Walton has written, "Drunkenness is a temporary escape from a life of permanent sobriety." This need to transcend applies not only to humans but to many animals as well. For instance, the lemur becomes entranced by venomous centipedes, illustrating the importance of altered states of consciousness. An early psychologist once said, "Intoxication is the fourth drive in the animal kingdom, ranking just behind the drives for food, sex, and sleep." However, humans require transcendence more than most animals do because of our unique condition of conscious self-awareness. When reflecting on the essence of human existence, Jacques Adieu once said, "If I were a cat, my life would have meaning." More precisely, this question wouldn't arise because I belong to this world, I am this world. But now, I am confronted by my own consciousness, something animals don't ponder. Who am I, where do I come from, where am I going, and does what I'm doing have any meaning? Alcohol can temporarily silence this internal commentator that's goal-oriented and often anxious, preventing us from fully enjoying life. This may be the fourth element of the human ecological niche, consciousness. Everyone has an innate impulse to escape from themselves. Some find an outlet through meditation or yoga, while alcohol can also assist in adapting to this element. The author believes that alcohol can bring benefits to individuals and society, accelerating the progress of human civilization. However, if we are not careful, alcohol can also reduce us to behaving like animals. First and foremost, excessive drinking is harmful to health, and it can easily lead to addiction, causing substantial damage to one's body and life. Some addiction researchers argue that frequent drinkers can become increasingly tolerant to alcohol, reaching a point where they need to keep consuming it to feel normal, resetting their body's equilibrium to an unhealthy state. Apart from health issues, excessive drinking can lead to various negative consequences, including violence, high costs, unintended pregnancies, and sexual assaults. The World Health Organization has linked alcohol to numerous causes of death, including liver damage, cancer, self-harm, industrial accidents, drowning, falls, AIDS, and more. Among the prominent negative outcomes associated with alcohol-induced behavior, two are particularly significant: aggression and risky behavior. Dionysus, the Greek god of wine, is also the god of chaos and disorder. Apart from acting as a stimulant, alcohol is the only known substance that increases aggression and violence in individuals. The stimulating effect of alcohol, combined with its capacity to induce cognitive short-sightedness and impair executive function, can trigger violent behavior, especially in people with already low cognitive control. Most countries are wary of public drinking gatherings, especially at sporting events. As far back as 5 BC, the Delphi Stadium displayed an inscription that read, "No spectator shall carry wine into the arena." Alcohol can also incite sexual assault cases. In as many as 72% of sexual assault cases, the perpetrator, the victim, or both parties are intoxicated. The author points out in the book that the connection between alcohol and violence against women is fundamentally driven by patriarchal or promiscuous social norms, not by alcohol itself. Alcohol only diminishes willpower, but it isn't the primary causative factor. In our everyday lives, alcohol's most common negative impact is the so-called drinking culture. In social drinking situations, some people feel compelled to consume excess alcohol because not doing so would be considered an affront to the hosts. Including alcohol in a professional setting marginalizes individuals who either can't or choose not to drink alcohol. Women face even more complex situations at the drinking table. Despite the drawbacks, alcohol does have some benefits. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not here to encourage you to drink, but we should consider the costs and benefits of alcohol consumption carefully and approach it responsibly. So, how should one consume alcohol? The author offers some suggestions. First and foremost, I must reiterate that the safest level of alcohol consumption is no alcohol at all. If you choose to indulge in a drink, you should consciously monitor how much alcohol you're consuming. You can use shallow glasses or limit the number of drinks. Try not to drink alone, as solitary drinking often leads to successive drinks until intoxication. Whenever possible, consume alcohol with family members and friends who care about your well-being, as this allows mutual monitoring. In social situations involving alcohol, one should avoid the toxic drinking culture. Additionally, several specific measures can be implemented, such as providing an equal quantity of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages and making water readily available. This may sound simple but is indeed essential. If it's inconvenient to access water at a social event, there's a greater likelihood that someone will drink too much. Alright, that's the essence of this book that I wanted to share with you. Although alcohol harms the body, no culture has abandoned it. The author believes that the reason humans have not rejected this detrimental hobby during evolution is that alcohol can help early humans overcome specific challenges, such as relieving stress, stimulating creativity, maintaining openness, and fostering cooperation. However, the negative consequences of alcohol are evident. To reiterate, the safest level of alcohol consumption is no alcohol at all. Everyone needs to approach alcohol with a cautious attitude. In Greek mythology, the temple of the gods contains two deities. One is Dionysus, the god of wine, who represents intoxication, emotionalism, and disorder. The other is Apollo, representing reason, order, and self-control. Apollo and Dionysus symbolize self-control and self-indulgence, respectively. As humans, we need to strike a balance between Apollo and Dionysus. We need rational thinking, the execution of plans, and the occasional distraction due to beautiful and interesting things. This might be achieved through play, meditation, daydreaming, or perhaps through the consumption of alcohol. That's it. Those are the main points of this book. Congratulations, you've just finished another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker Channel audiobook channel. Like and share this with your family and friends. Wisdom is worth spreading, opening the door to a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.